The stars are the engines of the universe, and for eons they were considered the untouchable property of physics. But to the Vultkind, a nomadic race of interstellar scavengers known as the Liftlords, a star was nothing more than a gas station. They didn't settle on planets, they consumed them. They arrived in our solar system not with an army, but with stellar siphons, miles-long needle-thin ships that utilized stellar lifting. By projecting focused magnetic beams into the sun's poles, they created massive, artificial solar flares, dragging hundreds of trillions of tons of hydrogen and helium directly into space to be refined into fuel for their nomadic fleet. Within months the sun began to dim. Its temperature dropped, its gravity weakened, and the Earth began to drift into a permanent, icy twilight. To the Vultkind, we were just insects living on a rock that happened to orbit their gas tank. They believed that because we were biological, we would never dare to enter the furnace of our own star to stop them. They thought the heat was their shield. They assumed that because no conventional hull could survive the millions of degrees in the sun's corona, their siphons were safe. They believed that by stealing our light they were stealing our future. They were catastrophically wrong. They forgot that humanity didn't just learn to use the fire, we learned to live in it. We didn't see the sun as a god to be feared, we saw it as a comrade in arms that was being bullied. If the Liftlords wanted to pump our star dry, we decided to give them a lesson in high-pressure plumbing. We created the heliostat protocol. And we birthed the third solar engineering wing, the Coronal-Casters. We don't use standard ships for this. A normal spaceship in the corona would turn into a cloud of atoms in a nanosecond. Our ships, the caster rigs, are built from refractive gold and liquid tungsten alloys, constantly cooled by a circulating sea of liquid helium. We don't carry missiles. In the sun's atmosphere, a missile is just a drop of water in a volcano. Instead, we carry magnetic fusion funnels, gargantuan emitters that can sculpt the solar plasma itself. We don't shoot at the enemy, we redirect the star's own weight. We catch the stolen mass the Liftlords are trying to pull away and we pump it back. We turn the siphon into a backfire. We are the Coronal-Casters and we're about to turn the sun into a flamethrower. I am Commander Silas Solaris Vane. My cockpit is currently glowing with a light so bright that 3 layers of polarized glass can barely keep me from going blind. My cooling system is screaming at 99% capacity, and the air in my lungs feels like it's boiling. And I'm about to return some stolen property. The mission was the siphon breach. The Liftlords had established 3 primary needles over the sun's northern hemisphere, and the stream of stolen plasma was reaching critical velocity. If we didn't break the magnetic link in the next 10 minutes, the sun's core would begin to contract, triggering a premature red giant phase that would swallow the Earth. Caster Squad, engage the magnetic shields. Dive deep. I want us in the transition region before they even see our heat signatures. I roared into the link. The sound was a distorted mess of solar static and radiation interference. Caster 2 Sarah, heat shields at critical. My hull is melting in the corners, Silas. The radiation is eating the sensors. Caster 3 Jax, visual on the siphon needle. It's a mountain of black glass sitting in the fire. They're drawing mass at a rate of 10 billion tons per second. We dived into the sun's corona, a place where the temperature actually rises the further you get from the surface. The sky was no longer blue or black, it was a swirling white-hot ocean of ionized gas and magnetic loops. The siphon needles loomed ahead, obsidian spikes that looked like they were made of solid shadow, defying the heat through ancient, unknown technology. Immediately the solar flies emerged. These were the Liftlords' defensive drones, small, gold-plated spheres that used the sun's own magnetic fields for propulsion. They didn't fire lasers, they fired heat spikes, concentrated beams of thermal energy that tried to overload our cooling systems. Ignore the drones. Target the flow. I leveled the soul hammer toward the primary plasma stream. It was a pillar of fire 100 miles wide, being dragged upward toward the alien needle. Sarah, Jax, link the funnels. We're going to cap the siphon. We stood in a formation around the base of the plasma pillar. We engaged our magnetic fusion funnels. The blue energy arcs from our ships collided with the orange solar fire, creating a magnetic knot. We weren't just blocking the flow, we were grabbing it. Stabilize the grip. Push it back. The soul hammer groaned, the structural supports vibrating as we fought the kinetic energy of 1 billion tons of accelerating hydrogen. It was a cosmic tug-of-war. The Liftlords realized what we were doing. Their needle ship pulsed with a dark violet light, increasing the suction. They were trying to pull us into the siphon along with the gas. The suction is too high. We're losing the hull. Jax yelled, his ship's outer plating peeling away like scorched paper. We're not losing anything. We're overfeeding them. Sarah reversed the polarity. This was the back pressure maneuver. We didn't just stop the pump. We became the pump. We opened our fusion drives and funneled our own engine thrust into the magnetic knot. We began to push the solar mass up the needle faster than the aliens could refine it. Internal pressure climbing. 9,000%. The obsidian siphon needle began to glow a dull, dangerous red. It was designed to pull gas into a containment field, not to handle a high-pressure plasma jet being shoved down its throat by 3 human fusion engines. The alien ship began to vibrate, the needle tip cracking as the internal plumbing failed. They're trying to detach. Don't let them go. The lift lords tried to cut the magnetic link, but we had laced the plasma with our own graviton markers. We were anchored to them. I looked at the long-range monitors. The siphon needle was becoming a bomb. One final push. Give the star her fire back. I redlined my reactor. The soul hammer was a blinding white star in its own right now. We pushed the pillar of plasma upward, focusing it into a needle-thin jet of solar fury. Kerboom. The sound was a deep, subsonic roar that traveled through the magnetic field lines. The siphon needle didn't just explode, it was incinerated from the inside out. The miles-long obsidian craft was turned into a cloud of metallic vapor in a millisecond as the sun's own mass was forced through its core. The second and third needles, caught in the resulting solar flare, were swept away like leaves in a hurricane. The stellar lifting was broken. Across the solar system, the siphon tides receded. The stolen mass fell back toward the sun's surface in a series of spectacular looping prominences. The sun, no longer being drained of its lifeblood, flared with a healthy, golden brilliance. The brown dwarf transition was halted. The sky on Earth began to brighten. The ice began to melt. The sunrise was no longer a dim, violet memory, it was a golden promise. I stood in the center of the corona, my soul hammer scorched and dripping with molten gold, the cooling systems hissing as they finally began to catch up. My HUD was a graveyard of error codes and my vision was filled with purple spots, but the star was whole. The vault kind were a cloud of dust scattered across the solar wind. Sarah. Jax, status, I rasped, the silence of the corona feeling like a warm blanket. I'm here, Silas. My heat shield is gone and I think I'm permanently tanned, but the sun is, she's beautiful. Still kicking. My rig is a write-off but we gave him their gas back. The lift lords won't be coming back to this station. I looked at the sun's surface below us. It was a chaotic, violent and perfect engine of life. We had walked into the fire to protect the light. We had looked at the scavengers of the galaxy and told them that our star wasn't a resource to be mined, it was our home. Humanity has proven the ultimate truth of the cosmic extremis. You can bring your siphons. You can try to steal the fire of our ancestors. You can tell us that we are too cold and too small to fight in the furnace. But we are the species that knows how to cast the sun. We are the Coronal-Casters. And we don't just use the light, we guard the flame. The siphon is shattered. The mass is returned. The sun is bright. The mission is over. Now someone get me an ice bath and a very, very long sleep. I've had enough sunshine for a lifetime.